In this video we're going to be looking at snookers. Whilst potting all of the balls and the black is the ultimate aim of the game, sometimes the pot just isn't possible, or maybe it's just a bit risky. This is when safety play comes into effect, and we may look at playing a snooker. As with any shot in pool, there's no absolute correct way to play a snooker, but there are several things to consider when deciding how to lay one. If we look at the layout in this example, we can see that the yellow player doesn't really have an easy clearance. The yellow at the top is hampered by the red, and we have one ball on the cushion and the two others close to the black. Because of the position of the single red, it's much easier to play a snooker and either force our opponent to open things up or foul and give us two shots. The first thing to look for is a ball close to your opponent's ball that gives you a good chance of cover, like this yellow at the top. We then look for a shot off another ball, like this one on the side, to leave us behind that ball to achieve the snooker. However, the problem with this shot is that we have to be quite precise with the pace over quite a long distance. Not hard enough, and they'll still easily be able to hit the red. Too hard, and we might even leave them with a pot. Even if you get the pace just right, there's a fairly easy escape for them off the cushion. So our next option is to look for balls close to the cue ball, which we can hide behind. A cluster of balls like these three is always good because we can play off one and nestle in behind the others. There are still a few things we need to be aware of though. Firstly, in World Rules pool, like I'm playing here, you will need either the cue ball or the object ball to hit a cushion after each shot. If you play this shot too softly in order to end up nicely behind the black, you could be in danger of the yellow not reaching the cushion. This would then leave a foul snooker. The red player would have a ball in hand and two shots and most probably hand them the game. If you're playing the shot firmer so that the yellow reaches the cushion, then you also need to consider what spin to use. Play the shot plain ball and the white will continue forward a little and you won't get the snooker. The best way to play the shot is with a little stun. Firm enough to get the yellow to the cushion and to pull the cue ball nicely back behind the black and yellow. Even if you overcook it a fraction, it's still a difficult escape for your opponent. Their cueing is hampered and they're having to reach for the shot. And even if they manage to hit the red, there's a good chance they'll either develop your difficult yellow or even go in off, still giving you two shots. Now we're going to look at getting out of a snooker. The most common mistake I see here is that players focus purely on being able to hit the ball that they're snookered on. The escape route here is fairly simple, coming off the bottom rail, or maybe even off the side cushion as well. The problem is that the player is so focused on hitting the yellow that they forget about where things might end up once they've hit it. If you play these shots too hard, there's a good chance that you'll hit the yellow, but then you'll leave your opponent with an easy clearance, like I have done here. When getting out of a snooker like this, you need to not only consider how to hit the yellow, but how to leave the cue ball as safe as possible afterwards as well. In this example, the better option is to play the shot exactly as before, but at a far slower pace. This then enables the cue ball to make contact behind the yellow and then stay there, leaving us with a snooker in return. So what about when we're in a really difficult snooker? In this situation, we have to play an inch-perfect shot off two cushions to squeeze through a tiny gap and make contact with the yellow. If we decide to attempt the escape, there's a high probability that we'll miss and give the opponent two shots. To make matters worse, if we do miss, then we've also developed two of their difficult balls. With the security of knowing that they have two shots and most of the balls in the open, a decent player is likely to then clear the table and you will have lost the game. Sometimes you just have to accept that the chances of escaping the snooker are very small. You are effectively playing a shot where you know you're going to give your opponent two shots. If you know you're going to do this, then it's better to give them two shots from a position of your choosing rather than going for it anyway and hoping for the best. If we reset the shot, then a sensible approach is to look at the table and see what's still difficult for the red player. The two reds by the yellow are difficult, so they're likely to need an extra shot to develop them. They also have a red on the cushion, which might also require the extra shot. We want to leave both of these situations to keep the clearance as difficult as possible for them. If we can then make their first shot difficult as well, then we can force them to waste that extra shot and then be left with a difficult clearance. In World Rules Pool, we're allowed to play a deliberate foul, so the best option here is to roll up as close as possible to the nearest red. This needs to be done carefully, and you should take as much care over this shot as you would do for a pot. Once nestled up behind the red, your opponent then has nothing on their first shot, and they'll be forced to waste their extra shot just trying to get into some sort of position. They then face a difficult clearance that could well end up with them missing and freeing up your last ball. So when setting up snookers and trying to get out of them, it's important to not only work out your angles of escape, but to carefully judge the pace of the ball as well. This is a simple little practice that works on both of these things at once. Just place a red at one end and a yellow at the other and try to lay a snooker. Once in a snooker, you then try to escape whilst getting a snooker in return. Try coming off single and multiple cushions, and always try to consider the pace of the cue ball as well as the path of escape. If you don't make the escape, either just take a ball in hand or carry on, it doesn't really matter. Maybe try this for about 5 or 10 minutes as part of your practice routine, and it will really help to improve not only your ability to escape snookers, but to do so safely. If you want to see more practice routines and pool tutorials, then please remember to subscribe. And if you're interested in any of the equipment I use in this video, then there are links in the description below.